What the hell is going on, everybody? Welcome to the Robert Verdugo Podcast, episode 35, 34. I'm getting really bad at that. I probably should do something about that. But welcome, everyone, to another episode. Hopefully you guys are having a good Monday. Mine's been pretty chill. What's funny enough is that we're back on YouTube, man. I'm looking at the camera right now. So if you aren't aware, basically here on the Robert Verdugo Podcast, I upload every Monday and also every Friday as well. Monday being like a certain topic that we'll always discuss about, whether it be like fashion, whether it be like mental health, even just general health and other stuff as well. But Friday is usually a Reddit segment. So basically I'll go through a Reddit post that's half the time very wholesome and has an ending story to it. And then from then on, we talk about some news that's happening throughout the week. So if you aren't aware, we're on Spotify, SoundCloud, and also Apple Podcasts. And now we're back on YouTube. So if you're watching this on YouTube, thank you for watching. Make sure to give it a thumbs up. It goes a really long way. And everywhere else, if you give it a review, it goes a really long way. And I can't appreciate you guys enough. It means a lot that you guys listen to this pod. Something I just enjoy doing. And it's my form of therapy, pretty much. I like to get my creative mindset out there, as millennial as that sounds. But we're doing well so far. And today's pod is going to be a topic which I feel like a lot of people have been trying to get into since the last ISO, but don't really know where to start. And if you guys can tell by the title, it's how the hell do you build a PC from scratch? So it's I know it's pretty random. It is a very random thing to, think about how to build a PC. Oh, and before we go any further, right? We've got to talk about the fit, all right? Because now we're back on camera, which means I'm going to start pulling out some sick fits. So I'm getting happy about wearing this because I can't wear anything else because I have literally nowhere to go. If you guys don't know, here in Melbourne, Victoria, we're one of the very few places that are still very in lockdown. So we've got another 4 weeks of lockdown. We've got a curfew and we can't do anything. So I just have to start wearing good fits indoors, except for my shoes, because I'm wearing just socks and nothing else. But on the top, we've just got this navy beanie, just simple fisherman navy beanie, navy blue. I don't know why I put navy beanie. What the fuck am I on? But got it just a navy blue crop beanie, whatever, fisherman style steez. I've literally had this for years. I love the fisherman wave. It's something that I don't think will ever leave my wardrobe. Whether it dies off in a trend or it comes back, for me, it will always stay. It got to a point where I've even got a tat of a skull with the fisherman beanie because I just love them so much. I haven't worn them enough this year, but that's probably mainly due to ISO. But on the top, we've just got this Dickies ripped tank top because we don't say wife beaters anymore, okay? It's a ripped tank top from Dickies. I bought this ages ago. And I really want to get another 3-pack and probably in a smaller size too. Because the extra large is starting to get just really a bit, because they stretch a lot over time. So I just want to size down to a large or something. And then for the pants, because I'm going to leave the nice outerwear piece till last. But the pants are just my Issey Miyake en plaisir cropped wide trousers. I don't like the tapered look at all. I've owned the tapered look and had to return it. I bought it from a friend ages ago. Returned it because I just didn't like the way it fit. But these wide ones cropped they fit anyone. I know if you guys probably do know, but with the sizing 1 to 4, because this is mainly a fashion pod kind of, but I like to give a bit of insight kind of on other stuff. But with regards to the fit though, a size 1 and a size 4 fits the same in the waist. It's just length. So if you're a short dude, grab a size 1, or if you want to go a little bit longer, get a 2, whatever. And then the top, beautiful Our Legacy, or apparently. Because I posted a video literally last week, so thank you for whoever watched that and appreciate all the comments and stuff. It means a lot. Apparently it's pronounced Our Legacy or something like that, but I say it's Our Legacy, dude. It's just English for me. I don't really care. But Our Legacy, Harrington work jacket with the 4 pockets and a nice beautiful cream bone color, just a nice wide oversized fit. Oh, I just love this. I've got the accessories on it, but I don't have any rings because I lost them. I don't know where the hell they are. But yeah. So without the fit's done. So we're going to get into a topic with PC, right? How the hell does a PC work? How the hell do you start one from scratch? And how much could it cost you? Because a really good PC, not going to lie to you, man, costs a fair bit of money. It's got to cost a bit of money. But we'll go over it, okay? Because it can be very overwhelming. And I'm the type of person who can really just basically, I get a big dick from building my own PC, okay? It's simple as that. I got a massive head when I turned it on for the first time. I got it working because at the end of the day, these hands and this brain did it with the help of YouTube, and that's it. I had no one else. Like, I had one of my friends ask someone else, but never got back to me on like which parts are probably best. So like, you know what? Let's just go on the internet and just dive deep and get, something. Just get info on how to actually begin this in the first place. And, one of my friends helped me out because there's a website called PC Part Picker. So this website, which I will leave in the description if I do remember, because I'm really supposed to do that. But basically, you go to PC Part Picker. It's a website where you can just Google it and it'll come up. But this website basically is curated for the individual to go through each component of a computer and what component fits with what, how many voltage or how many watts do you need in total for all the elements to work together. Because when you build a PC from scratch, if you have a really like crazy good part and you don't have like the combining part for that's just as good, your PC is not going to run as efficiently as it should be. And I'm by far in no means an expert on PCs or anything. Like, if there's like a problem with the computer, I can most likely solve it because Google is my best friend when it comes to that. And I know most of the time I can get it working, okay? I've ran into a few problems with this build, most definitely, and I'll go through them. But most of the time, I just did it all myself. And like, even afterwards, most of my mates just ask me for advice when it comes to the PC, what parts to buy, what to look out for, which I don't know how to overclock yet. And that's just another term, which maybe we'll get into the end. It's a little bit complicated, but we'll get down to the gist. So what goes in a PC, okay? And I really want to talk about this because, one, I've done it myself, okay? Literally did it from scratch, didn't know anything about it. Two, I feel like it'll give you guys really good insight onto sell your consoles, get a really good PC, because a PC can do everything. A console can only do a certain amount of things, okay? And yeah, people will say PC versus controller, like keyboard, mouse versus controller, whatever. That's just a whole different debate. But all entirety, like with me, I've been a console dude since I was born. I'm looking at my old school original PS2, which is like literally in front of me. I also have a PS1, which is actually my grandma's. I've got two of them, and I've just been a PlayStation kid for life. I've always played console, but moving on to a PC and keyboard and mouse can be very, very overwhelming, but you just learn. It's like anyone could do it, okay? But it takes time and it takes a lot of patience. But what goes into a PC? So we'll start off with like the basic, okay? A case. A computer case that just fits everything, and it's basically a box for all your parts to go in. And this is where sometimes it can make or break a build, and I ran into a problem with this, and I'll get into the problems after I've labeled everything. But with the computer case, it comes in a variety of different sizes. You've got like a micro ATX case, which is like a compact, like tiny tower, or that's what they call them. They call them a tower. But this is tiny, and I would not recommend it at all because it's very hard to work with. And I wouldn't even touch that for a first time. Then you've got like, I think there's a small size, and then you've got the mid tower, which is what I have. So mid tower is basically what you see everywhere. It's like the go-to. It's got enough space to work with. It's not so gigantic where it could just overwhelm a room, but it's also not too small where you can't work with it. And then you've got there's like the large tower or the full tower case, which is just gigantic. And once again, you'd only use that if you're going above and beyond and you're like using a crap load of parts. But most of the time, stick with a mid-tower case, okay? Simple as that. Moving on, we're going to get into power supply. Power supply, I feel like you should invest a decent money into because that's what runs your entire PC. And I'll go through all of these. There's, I think, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There's 8 components, okay? I'm going to go through them, give a bit of detail. And mind you, I don't know a lot about, like the GPU and stuff, but we'll get into that soon. But a power supply is just what runs your PC. It's the juice of your computer. I would invest a decent amount of money into it. And by decent, I mean like maybe 130, 140, 120, around that range. And once you do more research, you'll realize that there are different tiers of power supplies. You've got a bronze certified power supply, silver, gold, then you've got platinum. I would always recommend just going with a gold power supply, because if something goes wrong when it comes to your power, you're fucked. That's literally all it is. Like, getting a gold certified power supply is just, you can buy that and you will never ever have to upgrade it, change it, whatever. Like, those will last a lifetime. So by investing like just a decent amount of money, you can get a good power supply and not have to worry about it. And then just one thing I want to tell you is buy a fully modular power supply, and I'll get into that when I ran into my issues, okay? But the third thing, so it's like all the simple ones, we'll get into like the hectic ones towards the end, but another one is just storage. Where are you going to store all your games, all your documents, all your work documents, like everything that's stored in your computer, where are you going to put it? So storage, very, very simple. You can go with the standard hard drive, hard drives or HDDs, hard disk drive, whatever. These like are decent, but you want to go SSD. Okay, an SSD is a solid state drive. They're like, it's a big difference I find when you load up a game through a solid state drive compared to a hard drive, because I'm not going to get into like the comparison between the two, but basically a solid state just runs a lot faster. It's a lot more efficient, but it's a little bit more pricey too. So I didn't run into issues with my storage. What am I talking about? But basically I run a hard drive, which is a 1 terabyte or 2 terabyte. I think I got 2 because they're actually pretty cheap. And then I ran also a 500 solid state drive, which is called the Samsung 860 Evo. It's like the go-to solid state drive. It's like, I think it was $100. And then at the time I could get $20 cash back through the Samsung website. And then basically I load like Warzone on there, which takes up basically the entire thing, because Warzone's like 150 gigs. But any massive games that take up a lot of space and just need to be super efficient, like Warzone, or I know a game like even like GTA with loading screens, anything like that, leave on your solid state, and then when you're done with it, you can transfer it over to your hard drive, but that's like something I haven't done yet. And I don't know much about it. So just with storage, get yourself a hard drive, chuck like everything that's on there, like whether it be music, videos, files, anything that you just want to leave there and not lose, chuck it on your hard drive, and then any like decent stuff that you need to be efficient on, throw it on your SSD. So the main thing I've got on mine is, like I said, Warzone, and also Windows, because that's actually a last component which isn't on here, but you have to load Windows, and it's preferred to leave it on your solid state because it can run a lot more efficiently. So, I mean, once again, storage, hard drive, SSD, just look within your price range, okay? Fourth thing, okay? Memory. And this is like a big thing, because everyone says, like, when you see a computer, right? And I noticed, because I've done this a lot. And even when I was growing up, my dad was, not even my dad, my uncle was the same. Like when we got computers and stuff, it's all about the RAM. How much RAM are you running, mates? And basically memory or RAM, even now, I still don't know much about it, but basically it just helps you to run a lot more programs at the same time, allows you to multitask a lot more without running down the PC down to the brick. Because if you have really crap RAM, you're not going to be able to do a lot of efficient things. Like, I went a little bit overkill, okay, but I wanted to, you know what? Let's just pay for it and not have to worry about RAM ever again. So I got a G-Skill, I think it was called G-Skill something, I can't remember, but 32 gigabytes of RAM. Okay, it's a max you can get apart from 64. 32 gigabytes is a lot, all right? Most people, all you need to run is 16. I was like, you know what? It was like an extra $60. It was at the time, because I didn't buy it all at once. I like spent all these parts over time. But with this RAM, dude, I can throw on Warzone. I can stream. I can also have like Discord running in the back. I can have like 5 Google Chrome tabs in the back while I'm running a hectic game of Warzone, which at the moment I'm not playing that much because I've got another game, which I'll talk about maybe a bit later. But it just helps with just how freaking efficient your computer can be if you run decent memory. So price range, I think I paid around 180 or 160. I've got like a whole, where's my paper? I've got all this paper and stuff with like all my receipts of everything that I bought and I've just kept. But yeah, I did not pay 180. I paid 229 for G-Skill Rib Jaws 5. When, you know, I believe it is DDR4 which is like the next scale up. I don't really know much about it, but 3200 speed, okay? And one thing you want to notice is that when you buy RAM, you'll find this out when you do your research, because I'm not going to baby you through everything, because you've got to do it yourself. Because there's only so much I can tell you before you do it yourself. But when you buy memory, it doesn't come 32 standard when you plug it in, or 3200 speed. You've got to actually do it yourself manually in the BIOS and stuff. But with RAM, just get like 16 gigabytes at least, okay? Don't get 8. Don't be a pussy. Get 16 at least. So right now we've gone through case, power supply, we've gone through the storage, and we've gone through the memory. Next up is the motherboard. Oh man, this was a headache. It was just so overwhelming, because everyone must know what a motherboard is, but a motherboard is like the heart and soul of your computer. It's the brain of your computer. It's everything that gets plugged into, and it's pretty overwhelming when you put it together. I won't lie to you, and we'll get to that soon. But a motherboard, I just went with the one that everyone recommends, okay? Because I didn't want to branch anywhere else. I wanted something that everyone got, and I have a lot of information about the certain motherboard. And that was the B450, I think it was an MSI B450 Tomahawk Max. I think I went all out and got the Max, just because I wanted that, where was I? I'm trying to find it here. My God, I literally have all this paper. Tomahawk Max, yes, B450 MSI. It was $215. And I just really wanted to have, you know what, let's just go a bit above and beyond and get the Max model. Comes with USB-C. Comes with all these other features, which obviously I'm not keen on using yet because I don't know about it. But I just went with something that everyone knew about. But in your case, just do a bit of research, find out what kind of motherboard you want to get, find out what brand you want to go with, and then that's pretty much about it. There are a lot of features, but I don't even know about the features, so stuff that. And the main thing, okay, is something I completely forgot, and this will tie into your CPU. Make sure your motherboard ties in with this next one, which is called the CPU. The CPU, okay, let's just make this into, something easy to understand. The motherboard is like the human body. The CPU is the brain. Okay, that's a lot more simpler to do. The CPU is basically what runs and processes everything in your whole entire computer. So there are different brands. Right now, I definitely support AMD because it's stupid cheap for what you get. But basically, the CPU is, you've always heard about Intel being very, very pricey. A lot of Macs run Intel processors, and these are it's just the brain that runs the computer at a really decent rate, okay? And it's very, very complicated, but I'm not going to go too much into it. But basically, a CPU just does that. Now, you can go with a different brand. The two main ones right now is AMD, which has the Ryzen series, which is what I have, or you can go Intel, and you've got like an Intel i9, i7. Those are very pricey. For my budget, I wanted to go with something that was decent and very, very well priced. So I decided to go with an AMD Ryzen 5 3600. I didn't get a 3600X because after doing a bit of research, I found out that it actually wasn't that more efficient compared to a normal 3600. So this was priced at $300, and it is such a good processor, man. Fucking hell, it's good. And the main thing, which I said before, is to make sure that that CPU fits your motherboard, okay? Because you can buy different motherboards, but for my purposes, an AM4 motherboard fits an AMD Ryzen, okay? That's literally it. And then you've got an Intel processor, which I can't remember what the other name was, but it fits like Asus boards or something. I can't quite remember, but I went with AMD and AM4 for the motherboard. $300, 6-core, I believe it's a 6-core processor, and then I don't want to go too much into it because even I don't know much about it, but you got boost clocking and stuff, which is overclock and shit. We're not going to worry about that, bro. You just want to know how to get this PC running and make sure it works, play some WZ, and freaking sweat over players, all right? So, power supply case, storage, memory, CPU, motherboard. Most important thing, okay, and this is where most of your money is going to go into, is your GPU or your video card or slash graphics card. Man, this could cost you a bit of money, mate, but I've seen that your budget for what you have, so let's say you have like a 1.5K budget, because that's like kind of minimum, that's not including peripherals at all. But 1.5, 1.3, you can get like a really, really decent solid rig. Most of that money is going to go into your video card or your graphics card. I need to stop saying video card because it's written on here and it just doesn't sound cool. Not that any of this sounds cool at all, but your graphics card is going to take up most of your money, and you should, put 70% of your budget into your graphics card, because that is going to be your bread and butter when it comes to running games at an efficient rate with high frame rates, with no lag, basically no like clips or anything. Go with a very good graphics card, okay? And then that's when you can... There are so many graphics cards, but the one I used was a 2070, I think. I think it was a 2070. I bought this so long ago, dude, and I completely forgot to write down a full list because it was so long ago and it was very overwhelming. But I literally pulled the paper out. I literally pulled the paper out and put it back. It's a Gigabyte GeForce RTX 2070. So 2070, the max one right now is a 2080 Super, but those are running for like $1,300. I definitely was not paying that at all. So I went to 2070, which cost me, I think, around $750 or $800, which, yeah, is very pricey. But that was what most of my money went into, because it's like mainly what your computer needs to run efficiently, and most of the money needs to be put into is your graphics card. So, you can go with a cheaper one. You can go to 2060. You can even go to 1070 if you just want to run just basic games. Even then, like, most games now can run at a 1070. Obviously, you're not going to get like ultra performance or run like ultra graphic settings, but if you just want to run and gun and just play, and you're just starting off, get like a 1060, 1070. You can get them for pretty cheap, and then work your way around from there. So I think that's really about it. It was the CPU, motherboard, memory, storage, video card, case, power supply. I think that's really it. I could be missing something else. I'm pretty scared if I do. But with the entire build, there were a lot of things. Okay, there was also other things I forgot to include as well. I just remembered. Software, Windows 10, download it, and don't download it on a Mac. Okay, try and find another PC, because that was like, I ran into a lot of problems. Okay, so at the time, okay, I had a desktop Mac, and I sold that to fund my computer, which is not this, but my PC. But at the time, I could not download Windows 10 onto a USB from a Mac. It just doesn't work, because I'm assuming from Apple's standpoint, they don't want people to convert over to Windows. It's the ultimate competitor. So they made it just super difficult, dude, to try and transfer. So I had to go to my friend's house and download Windows on his PC onto a USB. So make sure you just have a laptop that runs Windows and just download it on there. And I just have the free version. And the only thing, the difference between this and a standard one is that in the bottom right corner, there's just activate Windows, and it pops up every now and then. I've played for so long on this PC that I don't even notice it there anymore. My brain has actually just blanked it out, so I literally don't care. But with everything else, like, there are certain features that are included in a paid version. But if you just want to run it and just play games, do documents, go on Google Docs, whatever, run Microsoft Word, anything, that's all you really need. Like, especially like Zoom calls and stuff, bro, it's fine. So software, Windows 10, most definitely. And then, this is like another thing which you probably should get. I invested a bit of money, kind of. It's a CPU cooler. So basically, the CPU, when you buy it, comes with a fan. And the fan just goes on top of the CPU and it cools it. Because the computer can get very, very hot. It runs temperatures. If you don't have any fans in this PC, it can run upwards of like 100 degrees and it can fry your PC. Because 100 degrees Celsius inside a box, it could shred all your parts. So I decided to go with the CPU cooler. I got a Hypermaster, I think that's what it's called. No, sorry, Cooler Master Hyper 212X CPU cooler. It was like $60. Freaking looks really good as well. It looks really decent. No RGB, which is another topic which I don't really have RGB. I kind of want it, but it's a little bit lame. But yeah, CPU cooler just cools your PC. I definitely recommend it, especially if it's only $60. Just get it, because it will save you a lot of hassle in the long run when it comes to temperatures. Because that's like the main thing with the computer is temperatures. Because if you're running, I always compare it to Warzone, because Warzone is one of the most obviously one of the most played games right now. But at the same time, it is very, very difficult to run on I'm not going to say, it's just a very demanding game on a PC. That's really what it is. It's a very massive game. It's got insanely good graphics. There's a lot going on, and it's just rendering at a really fast rate, and it can really fry a PC if it's not up to temperature. So just invest in that and invest in fans, okay? Grab yourself some fans, at least 3 fans. Okay, that's 3 is like optimum. I'm running 3 at the moment. I've got the Be Quiet Pure Wings. I believe that's what they're called. These Be Quiet Pure Wings are very, very quiet fans, because the worst thing you can do is get yourself a fan or get yourself a couple fans, play like WZ or play any other game, and all you hear is and it's like an aeroplane, like the PS4. If you just run that, you're going to get annoyed. So get yourself some Pure Wing 2s, Be Quiet, and then just make sure the measurements fit your case, and do a bit of research on that and you'll be fine. So I think that's really about it. Then you can go into peripherals as well. You have to get yourself a good monitor, okay? Make sure you can go like 70 hertz, 60 hertz is like standard. Try and get like a 144 hertz monitor, because in simple terms, okay, this is just for PC nerds, okay? If you're just a normal dude, you won't understand what the fuck I'm saying. But when you run a game, it runs on frame rates, and I think on console it was 30 frames. I think. Don't quote me. It's 30 or 60. So if every second there are 30 frames, simple as that. When you run a PC, you can run way more than that, and it's so much smoother. Your reaction times are a lot quicker because you actually gain more frames. Because let's say if I'm versing someone who's on console, and they're running 30 frames, if I see them, I've already got, let's say I'm running at 120 frames per second, I have, 90 frames on top of this dude, where I can see 90 more frames in a split second compared to him, and it makes a massive difference. So, and then the thing with the monitor is that you have to buy a decent one to run those frame rates, because right now I've got a 60 hertz, 70 hertz monitor, which I bought from Marketplace because I just needed a monitor to use. And that maxes out at 70 frames. Like, my game can run at like 160, 140, whatever it is, but I actually won't see all those frames at that time. Yeah, it might look a little bit smoother, but the actual monitor can only utilize 70 frames, okay? So get yourself 144. It's going to cost you a little bit of money, but it's worth it. Keyboard, mouse, simple, man. Get yourself just a decent keyboard, decent mouse, mechanical keyboard. That's like life-changing, dude. Absolutely love it. It just feels so nice to press keys. My mom walked in the other day and she's like, that keyboard is so ugly. I was like, that's fine. I don't really care. Like, it feels really fucking nice. I reckon it looks pretty cool. It's just an all-black mechanical keyboard. Bit of RGB, bit of weebness to it. But you know what? I like it, so it's fine. But those are just all the things that go into a PC, okay? Let's run them down again. You need I've got the list here because I always forget. CPU, which is your processor. You need a motherboard, which is like the human body of the computer. You need the memory, okay? Memory is just so you can multitask. Storage, so you can obviously put everything in. You need a graphics card to make sure you can run really decent games. If you don't want to use this for games, you don't really need this. You can get a decent CPU and graphics card combo, I've heard. But that's if you just want to literally watch videos and just do documents and work stuff. You don't really need a graphics card. Then you need the case, obviously, where everything puts into, and a power supply. Okay, and then you got monitor, keyboard, mouse. That's it. Then you can go above and beyond, get a headset. I already had one, so it was fine. But that's just the basis, okay? These are all the components that go into a PC, and I will tell you now, you will run into something. You're going to run into a problem where it's going to get a bit annoying, okay? It's going to suck very badly, because I ran into a lot. The first one was the Windows problem. I couldn't download Windows, and that was like the last thing, because I had everything set up ready to go. And that was like the problem, which just drove me crazy. But as I was building the PC, I ran into a problem where my motherboard didn't fit my case. So I bought this random shitty case off like this shop like next to my house. Bought this case, was on sale for like $30, and now I know why it was on sale, because it's fucking shit. Okay, it's still here. I don't know what to do with it. I don't want to throw it out because it's not going to fit in my bin. Like, what the hell? I can't return it because it's COVID and they're closed. And I bought this a month ago, maybe even more. It was like probably 2 months ago. And my motherboard didn't fit. So I had an issue where I was like, fuck. Like, I don't know what I'm going to do. And I had everything laid out. Everything laid out on the table. I literally put some of the stuff on the motherboard. I throw in my CPU and stuff. Put it in the case and it didn't fit. And I'm like, shit. What the hell am I going to do now? Luckily, I had like leftover money. Luckily. So the day after, I was like, you know what? Screw this. Let's just leave everything. Put everything in my room. Lay it out. Put a towel on everything. Just so it doesn't get dusty. Or like a cloth or something. And then the day after, I actually went and got another case. Luckily, this case fit. Because if I had another problem with that case, I probably would have given up. Like, in all honesty, I would have given up because, oh God, it was I can already feel how I felt that long ago when I was doing it. But the case was the thing that I ran into. So make sure when you buy a case, depending on what motherboard you have, fits that case. Okay. Now, what other ones did I run into? I ran into a lot of stuff. Oh, my power supply. My power supply was also another big issue because the case that I got, okay, wasn't a NZXT case, which is like one of the top of the line cases. They look extremely nice and they're very well put together because cable management is a real big thing. Cable management is like, oh God. I'm very good with cables, okay? I like everything neat and tidy. I don't like cables anywhere. If I can conceal them, so be it, because that's how I want it. With this case, there's no like, with NZXT cases or any other really good case, there's like a basement. So your power supply will go in that and you don't see it. And then you can just shove all the cables in there and then wire what you want through the back of the case. And you won't see any cables inside. Because most of the time, when you buy a case, you're going to have like a tempered glass panel so you can see everything that looks really nice in there. If you run really crap cables and you've got really shitty cable management, you're going to see everything and it looks really bad. So in my issue is that I want to upgrade this case to a really good one. That's like my next thing. So maybe invest a bit of money into a decent case, like an NZXT case. But the problem that I had was my motherboard it wasn't a modular motherboard. The power supply wasn't a fully modular power supply. Now, a fully modular power supply basically it's got all the cables there that you need, and you can plug the ones that you need for your PC. Because I didn't know this when I started all this research, and I didn't know what the difference was, but I bought one that wasn't a fully modular one. It was chaos. It was so chaos. I spent like 2 days because oh my God. I had what's it called? I've lost my train of thought because I really needed to cough, and I'm not going to cut that out because I really don't care. But my power supply had every single cable plugged in and you couldn't take them out. And there were some cables there that I just didn't use because I didn't need them. So I have like 6 cables, like 12 wires everywhere that just did not have space. And if I put them at the front, they just looked really ugly. And I couldn't get rid of them. I didn't want to cut them because there's just exposed cabling. That's going to be really bad. So I was like, you know what? Let's unplug everything, because the first time I plugged everything, it took me a very, very long time. Like solid 4, 5, 6 hours just plugging him in, making sure it looks really tidy. Wanted to get everything like proper and not fuck it up. Because the worst thing you do is plug in something and then the actual cable that's plugged into your motherboard breaks, then you're screwed. Because your motherboard's screwed and your power supply cabling is screwed. But with this power supply, I decided, you know what? Let me return it. Let me get a fully modular power supply, and I can use the cables that I need. So much better. Like the way everything's laid out now is decent. It's still a work in progress, but most of the cables are not that exposed and look pretty decent. Then you can go above and beyond, and you can actually get like cable extensions. These make or break a PC, man. They look so good. It's just like a cosmetics thing. Like you can have like certain color scheme for your PC. I wanted to just go all black, and I just really want some nice dark gray tones, and I don't really know where to go. So with cable mods, it's just one brand because that's like the most popular one, but they do cables which, just look very, very neat and tidy, and you can have whatever color scheme you want. Yeah, they're a little bit pricey, but I reckon they're hella worth it. It just makes everything a lot more tidier. That's because one of the main things with a computer for me is that I want it to look like stupid clean to the point where there is not one cable in sight unless the one that's plugged into, like, let's say your graphics card or whatever. Those just like, that's killer steez, man. That is like a PC steez pretty much. So cable mods is another thing that you can go to. That's like the next thing I want to do is get cable mods and a new case, because the case I have, it's all right, but I'm a little bit about it. I'll throw a photo on the YouTube so you guys can have a look at it, but it's I just want to get something decent, like an all black or like a matte grey case. So I think that was only one of the main things I ran into was the case not fitting with my motherboard, my power supply not really functioning properly, and then I actually ran out of zip ties, so that kind of sucked. Yeah, that was another thing. Buy zip ties, boys. Got to buy zip ties and get decent ones too, and get black ones so they're very concealed. But I think that's really about it when it came to the PC building and everything. And then afterwards, like when you turn it on, obviously Windows isn't going to start up straight away. So what I did was actually go on YouTube. I watched this guy, I think it's called Ben's Hardware. I believe that's what his name was. It's this guy who very, very good with PCs, dude. And he just goes through a nice detailed video, goes for about 40 minutes. What I did was I just left it there and just paused, and just kept going. Stop and start. And he just goes through like the process of of how to start a PC after you finish building it, because you've got to download drivers, you've got to download, like, you've got to update your BIOS. There's all these other components that go through after you finish building the PC. But I can tell you now, it's very, very easy. It's not hard. If I can do it, if I can build a PC from scratch and do everything afterwards, and then afterwards play a game, anyone could do it, okay? I don't know why, but your man's is Gene up and losing my voice. Oh my days. That was a bit loud. I apologize. But yeah. What was I saying? Oh yeah. You can build one, okay? It's not hard. It's quite fucking simple. It just takes a lot of patience, okay? It takes a shitload of patience. Did I get frustrated and want to throw this PC out the window when I was building it? Hell yes. Was it worth it in the end? 100% yes. Because like right now, like just jump on Discord, talk to the boys. Like we could just watch YouTube videos on Discord. Like last night we were just watching CSGO or Counter-Strike videos. It was really random. But this one game, which I highly suggest you guys jump on, okay? This game, I might get roasted saying this, but it shits over Warzone. Just because it's a different game, okay? If you guys know if you know what Warzone is, I don't know what the fuck's wrong with you. But this game is called Escape from Tarkov. This game, oh my god, just thinking about it gives me anxiety, and I'm supposed to be playing right now. So might wrap this up very shortly, but this game is the epitome of like realism, military tactics, first-person shooter. It is like just a fucking dangerous and stealthy and just crazy game that is extremely detailed, down to the movements, down to the mechanics, down to like, it even goes to what ammo you should have. If you're a crappy ammo in a gun, you're going to lose. Whereas like Warzone, it's just a run and gun where like you just run around. If you hear footsteps, okay, boom, done. Like you can run a sniper and sprint for like 30 kilometers. In this game, it's not like that, okay? In this game, like sound is everything and is like the concept of this game, because the tiniest sound you make, people can hear it, and it's just, you don't know where anyone is. Like you jump in a map, like you jump in a certain map, let's say the main one right now, which I love, is customs, okay? It's just it's the map in the game. You jump in, first time playing, you don't have a map, you don't have a UAV, You don't have a heartbeat sensor. You don't have anything to tell you where anyone is. And you just got to go by sound and intuition and like military intellect, pretty much. So, fucking amazing game. It's so good, man. I can't wait to play when I get off this. But that's just one thing I recommend. And another game, because these are like, I might as well just give you a few games which you can start off with if you're in the vibe and like you just built your PC and what game should you play. Tarkov, if you've never played keyboard mouse, maybe don't touch it yet, because even I struggle and I just started playing keyboard mouse. But the one game which helped was Bioshock. Oh, Bioshock is, oh my god. That Bioshock Infinite is honestly probably my favorite game of all time. Might surpass Metal Gear Solid. Might. But that game, just the mechanics, gameplay, and the storyline, you cannot beat it, dude. And it's a very, very great game to learn on keyboard mouse, because obviously you can set the difficulty to like an easy and then just feel the mechanics of using a keyboard and a mouse. But I set the standard like a medium and it was still pretty decent. I tried medium on Bioshock 2 and I got fucking thirsted. I was like getting destroyed. It was like the difficulty was just insane. But those are like some great games you can play with. Just to start off is Bioshock. Check out Borderlands 2. Borderlands is very, very good. I'm starting to play a second one right now in between, like Escape from Tarkov. And then following that, I tried to go keyboard mouse on WZ when I was playing, when I first got the PC, but I just couldn't do it. So I literally bought a controller and I just plugged the controller in my PC. So if you guys are pretty scared to learn the mechanics in Warzone when you haven't played with a keyboard mouse, you don't have to. Just go out or even just use a controller if you already have one. Plug it into your PC, and then it's good to go. Obviously, you have to run like a client through Steam or something, but you're sweet. So I plug it in, jump on WZ, thirst people with my controller, and I'm sweet. But Escape from Tarkov, obviously, got to change the whole thing and go keyboard mouse, which can be a bit of a hassle. But all in all, I think I mainly covered everything. I think maybe the main thing is budgeting when it comes to a PC. How much really do you need to spend to have a decent rig? Mine, I will say this wholeheartedly, mine is not a shit PC. It's actually a very, very good PC. But I did spend quite a bit of money on it. I think, including peripherals, it was a lot of money. So let's just keep it at that. But all in all, if you want a, say, really decent PC, not a crazy, crazy one, you can spend like maybe like 1.1, 1.2. You can get away with that. You can maybe even stretch like 1K if you get most of your parts secondhand, which I don't really recommend. I'm not a big fan of secondhand parts. I just like everything brand new and good to go. But like 1 to 1.2, 1.3 price range. Australian, mind you. This is Australian prices. If you're listening to this and you're from America, man, you can suffice with like $800, $700 PC, and it's great. But right now, this is the thing with the market in PC and computer parts and components, is that everything is elevated because of COVID. So the amount of money I pay for my PC, I probably could have saved a quarter of that from buying it at a different time, because there are thousands, if not tens and thousands of people who are in my exact same boat who want to jump into a PC because of COVID. So maybe have a look out for that. But jump on PC Part Picker. Once again, I'll leave it in the description below or in the information below. And basically, you can go through, you can jot down or tell you like the cheapest price on where to get it and which website to use. And there's an Australian version, there's an American version, which, you know, cater for the Australian market or the American market or European market. Depends where you are. But that is just a great source and really, really good to use, because if you stuff up something in your build, and mind you, once you do it once, go through it, and you're probably going to change it 4 more times, because the original build that I had was not the one that I have right now. It was a lot crappier and a lot shitter. But then again, I did invest a bit more money at the end. So it'll tell you like how much voltage is recommended. It'll tell you whether your motherboard is compatible with your case. Most of the time, even though my case actually wasn't on Part Picker because it was that fucking shit, but most of the time it will tell you, and then it will tell you if your CPU fits your motherboard. So what I'll do is, even down below, I'll include a few videos of how to actually build one from scratch. I know I ran into a video, I can't remember who it was by, but it was like a 50-minute video, and it went literally from start to finish on how to build a PC. And I used that video as I was building it. I paused it, like once again with my software one. So after you build it, obviously I watched the guy who did software updates and BIOS and everything. This other video was dedicated to doing it from scratch. Where do I plug in everything? How do I go about putting in like the CPU, plugging in everything? This video was super helpful. So I'll leave a few resources down below. And I think that's about it. This is really like random topic, but I feel like it might cater to some people who want to jump in this wave of PCs, because I think they're very, very good forms of investment, because at the end of the day, this PC is going to last me a very, very long time. And then down the line, this PC is upgradable. And that's probably one of the main things that people always forget, is that when you buy something, like when you buy a PC, it's all buy it in the terms of wanting to upgrade it in the future. Might just think about, okay, if I buy these parts, I know I'm be able to like tweak it in 6 months, 12 months, 18 months, whatever it is. I know I can tweak it to however I want it to be, and upgrade in the future, because you don't need to spend like 2K off the bat. Like I was fortunate because I had my Mac already, so I had like a bulk bit of money there to spend. But if you're literally starting from scratch, just save a bit, like a few hundred, buy a few parts here and there, and just accumulate it over time, and then work your way from there. Because the hardest thing is buying it all from the get-go, because it is a lot of money dropped in one go. But just being mindful. So, and the one thing is that you're going to get a big dick, all right, when you finish building this. You are going to have the biggest head, because when you turn that on, dude, and you run your first game, you play your first game of Warzone with the boys, you know that you built this bitch from scratch and you've got no issues with it. I mean, yeah, you're going to run into an issue. I can tell you that now. You're going to run into audio issues. You're going to run into driver issues for sure. But it's a learning curve, man. Like, you're obviously going to make mistakes and you learn from it. It's like I learned from this time around, if I ever was to do a second build, or if I ever was to build it for someone, I know what to expect. And that's one thing. I wouldn't mind building it for someone, but I definitely would not want to make like a business out of this, because if someone runs into something, it's my responsibility to fix it. And if I can't fix it, I'm screwed. So I'd rather just do it for like personal friends or something, or like if anyone ever wanted one that was very close to me and wanted to make one, yeah, I'd fucking make them one, because it's not that hard. But once again, responsibility wise. So I think that covers about it. Like, if you have any questions, feel free to like DM me, at Verdugo Vibes or at the Robert Verdugo Podcast. I need to start using that podcast more, the Instagram more, because I'm so slacking on that shit. But what I'll do is I'll leave a nice tune to end the pod. And once again, we're on Apple Podcasts, we're on SoundCloud, and we're also on Spotify and YouTube. So give us a like, make sure to subscribe, follow the page, follow Instagram at Robert Verdugo Podcast, all that jazz. And you know what? I'll leave you guys to it. Take care.